It's not a secret how heavily influenced the Duel Monsters era is of ancient Egypt. I mean, the whole central plot of the show revolves around, Yugi's alter ego, who's known as the Pharaoh, and we learn more about him throughout the show. I just want to go over some of the cards from the actual game that depict a lot of ancient Egypt imagery and references. So we can just start with the first card here. Grave Robber's Retribution. I mean, you can see images of mummy there, and that's very giving of ancient Egypt. Next I have here is Curse of Anubis. Now, Anubis, you'll notice, is seen a lot in the cards, and especially in the show as well. There's a lot of images of Anubis. Anubis is known as the god of afterlife in ancient Egypt, and was often seen in human body form, but with like the head of a jackal. And so you'll see another card here that has Anubis right there, Judgment of Anubis, and I believe I have one more here, although I don't think this really looks like Anubis, but it references it for sure. Pyramid turtle. So you see, just like that's an example right there of just references to ancient Egypt. And the show specifically, has artifacts like the Millennium items that had supernatural abilities, and so this was another reference. Charm of Shabti. I found out in the past that Shabtis were figures, stone carved figures that were, or figurines, or small, that they were placed in the tombs of the deceased, and they were used by the deceased to do work in the afterlife. I could be wrong about that, but this is just something that I remember. But just this in itself is another reference to Egypt, or ancient Egypt. Dark Magician. This is one of the newer cards, not that used from the Legendary Collection, but obviously there are older copies as well of this, versions of this. But just look at the tablet in the back. That's another example. It cannot get any more obvious than this. Blessings of the Nile. Tribute to the Doom, mummification right there. And there's a lot of mentions or references to life, afterlife, and reincarnation. Especially growing up, we would hear a lot about shadow games and shadow realm, and I found out later that meant the afterlife, especially the shadow realm. And they avoided using certain words for shows for back in the days, but we figured it out. And just like the cards and monsters, they felt very real. They felt like they could exist. A lot of these cards really had this mysterious, eerie feeling, which is something that I've always had of ancient Egypt. And the game itself really instilled a lot of interest in me for Egyptology. And another thing that comes to mind is just the idea of trap cards, right? And how it was a belief that a lot of the tombs that people were buried in had these traps set for grave robbers. And maybe I'm reaching here, but I feel like that is where the idea of trap cards comes from. I'm just trying to pull references here. Reckless greed. There you go. That right there, I mean, that's probably an image of a grave robbery right there. One thing I've noticed is a lot of like the spellcaster monsters had that ring in the back, and I think that has to do with like ritualistic summoning. And so you'll notice that throughout a lot of the spellcaster type monsters, like Dark Magician, and I think I have the next one here, Dark Magician of Chaos. Nubian Guard. Just another card that gives off the vibe of ancient Egypt, or just ancient civilizations in general. Gravekeepers, vassals. So just the gravekeepers monsters themselves feel like something specifically designed to give off that vibe. Gravekeeper, spy, and you'll notice that they have these like hieroglyphic type fonts, writings as well. I think all the gravekeepers have something like that. Yep, gravekeepers, canon holder. There you go, right there at the back. You'll notice that as well. Remember that episode with Odeon, where he activated Temple of the Kings? I mean, there's an Anubis reference right there too, So just something like this. And the next card, mystical beast of circuit. And this one thing that I really appreciated about the original show and the cards is just this feeling of this ceremonious summoning. I mean, even the use of the word summon, it's just felt like something out of this world, like you're about to bring something ancient to the real world. And black magic ritual, we know, is associated with the magician of black chaos. And even in the show, when they activated these ritual monsters, they had this whole like theatrical presence of the monsters coming out of whatever alternate universe that they were in and being manifested in real life. So yeah, this is just something that I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you guys think. Any references to ancient Egypt or Egyptology in general that you noticed, common themes, maybe cards you appreciated that also had that reference. But thanks for watching, and I appreciate it. Thank you.